Okay, let's just go a lot of different directions. LA Kings open their schedule tonight. They open with a big road trip. They start in Buffalo. Must win season. Must win season, I think, to save the general manager's job, Rob Blake. They've got unbelievable guys who can score goals. They're paying them volumes of money, and these guys have never gotten beyond the first round of the NHL playoffs. So I think it's going to be huge. Quentin Byfield was a number one pick a couple of years ago. Spent a year and a half learning on the job with the Kings after they brought him up from the American Hockey League, and he's played really well. He had a 21 goal season last year. Does he take the next step forward? But they got snipers all over the place. I mean, you look at that Kings lineup, and you say, how the hell have these guys not gone far in the playoffs? But they got Kopitar and Kempe and Fiala. And they don't obviously have Drew Doughty to start the season with the fractured ankle, but they got a young defenseman, Brant Clark. They got Philippe Danault, who came from Montreal. They've got a lot of guys who can score goals. They just have to score goals. I think the only if is what are they going to be like in goal? Journeyman Darcy Kemper, who was in LA at one point and bounced around, is back. I'll be fascinated to see if the Kings are a complete team or is there a weakness in goal. But they got to go deep in postseason, I think, to save the general manager's job, Rob Blake. The Ducks open their season on the weekend. They're going to be in San Jose. They've been building and building and building, and this has been so painful. The Ducks in the last 2 years, John, have a composite record of 50 wins, 97 losses, and 17 losses in overtime. The Ducks have won 50 games out of the 164 they played in 2 years, and they force-fed their kids. They got 10 guys under the age of 23 on this opening night roster. They got a lot of talent, but these are young pups who've learned, played under fire, had really back-to-back bad seasons. I mean, I've been on hockey teams that I broadcast for that lost 50 games, and that's a miserable experience. So that bears watching. Is this the year the Ducks take the next step forward? And they got a kid that you got to watch. He's from Boston University. His name is Connor Gauthier, or I should say Boston College. And he came in a big trade. And this kid's got talent. This kid is coming off 2 weeks of very impressive performances in exhibition games and in practice, and he's going to play a lot for them. So they've got all these kids stockpiled. The other team that opens, they're going to open in Toronto Saturday and Sunday, talking about the American Hockey League, the San Diego Gulls. Once upon a time, this was one of the best minor league franchises of all. But in the rebuilding of the Anaheim Ducks, the Gulls have been caught up on the wash. And all the high draft picks the Ducks had, we thought were coming here to play at the sports arena, Pechanga Arena, with the Gulls. None of them got here because the Ducks put them up top, and they force-fed them. And it's been very painful in Anaheim, which meant it's been very painful down here for the dedicated hockey fans. And I think San Diego's a hell of a hockey town. John knows this because he drinks beer, sits behind a plexiglass by the penalty box and pounds on the glass and sits with the women. The Gulls have gone into the marketplace through the Ducks. The Ducks have brought in 6 veterans of the American Hockey League who played also in the NHL. Got a goaltender just came in from Las Vegas. His name is Oscar Dance. He is going to be the starter in goal. They've got another big stud defenseman. You look at their roster, and I was out at practice. You look at the Gulls roster, they're all 6'3" on the blue line, 6'4", Noah Warren. Keep an eye on that. Watch for him because he might not be here long. He might be in Anaheim. He's the next of the big tree defensemen. They've got a Russian who scored 50 goals in junior hockey last year, who defected, who came on board and played in the Western Hockey League. His name is Igor Sidorov. Guy's a bit of a sniper, and he's crafty. He's not 6'3", but he can fly. He's got a wide variety of shots, so keep an eye on that. So we'll see. They've got the 6 veterans that stabilize your roster. These guys have had tastes in the NHL. These guys have been pretty good top-line performers in the American Hockey League, and they'll be complemented by a bunch of young skaters. So this will be fascinating. Hockey's back. My O Canada Network people are allowed to participate if you will. But that's the West Coast update on the Kings and the Ducks and the American Hockey League San Diego Gulls. And of course, the season started just last night, and some shockers along the way, including the Edmonton Oilers getting beaten home and the Toronto Maple Leafs losing 1-0 to the Montreal Canadiens, and Vancouver blowing a 4-1 lead to lowly Calgary and losing on home ice. So a lot of puck to talk about. John, your turn.
Yeah, here we go. I have a couple of questions. First of all, when you have been following hockey forever and talking with all of your other contacts, where do most experts think the Kings and Ducks are going to finish? And then the second question is, what happened to Evander Kane? I saw an update in your best 15 that he was hurt and he's injured. So what's the latest?
Evander Kane of the Edmonton Oilers, who's a goal scorer and their second and third line guy, he's had a lot of problems off the ice. He had sports hernia surgery in the offseason, and he's on long-term injured reserve, which means he's probably going to be out maybe a month, maybe 2 months, depending on the rehab, etc. But it's more than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That's a very good hockey team, and they've tried to add some veteran goal scoring to complement it, but Kane will not be part of it. In terms of the Kings, I think the guys nationwide and across Canada who write about this every minute of every day have the same opinion that I have, that Rob Blake's done a good job resurrecting the Kings, but the Kings have to find a way to go deeper in the playoffs because they played 3 straight years in the first round against Edmonton, and they went on vacation after the first round against Edmonton. Ducks are not a playoff team, regardless of what the general manager, Pat Verbeek, says. They're building. I do hope that we're going to wake up one morning within the next calendar year and all these kids are going to surface simultaneously and they're going to be pretty good. But to learn on the job, I mean, to have 10 guys under the age of 23, that's asking an awful lot of young kids against a league of stars.